Welcome to my channel, Sella Buzz. The person you've trusted for years, a specialist who came into your living room each week, Rick Harrison, the affable star of the empire-building Pawn Stars and Trust, authenticity, and knowledge. But what if everything you believed to be true was a meticulously crafted deception? In the early April 2025 morning hours, as FBI investigators descended on Rick Harrison's Las Vegas, the world was about to learn about this home. A startling reality that would destroy the picture of one of the most popular agents' discovered cherished personalities. There was more than simply evidence behind those walls. Of financial misbehavior, it was the headquarters of a worldwide criminal organization network that covered several continents. This isn't clickbait or conjecture. The unsettling truth that is currently being revealed in front of us, the instructor History and Antiques in America, has a hidden past of his own, one that includes money trafficking and human trafficking. Connections to organized crime and money laundering. How he achieved it isn't the only question, but how he concealed it for so long in plain sight. We're taking you inside the Long Today inquiry that revealed one of the most startling double lives on TV history for more than 10 years. With millions of Rick Harrison was greeted by viewers as their houses via their television displays his direct manner, for remarkable familiarity with historical objects and ostensibly moral business conduct, made him well known as the Gold and Silver Pawn Shop. Evolved, become more than merely a prosperous company, yet a traveler, location that attracts followers from all across the world keen to get a look at the location they had seen on television. Harrison's. The path to fame appeared to be the classic American success story. A man who created something out of nothing, whose knowledge and disposition launched him to a worldwide acknowledgement of his book's top bestseller lists. His appearances attracted large audiences, and his business counsel was requested by aspiring businessmen. He was, by all seems, to be the epitome of sincere success, but carefully consider the reasons for this. Created a public image for something unsettling was developing. The change wasn't abrupt or that close. Harrison started to notice subtle changes around 2016. For former workers report that Rick started acting differently, got more domineering and secretive. The previously laid-back workplace at the staff members at the pawn shop became tense. Must sign a more stringent non-disclosure. Rick spent less time on the agreements, shop floor, and additional closed time doors during confidential sessions. Even in interviews, the shift was apparent in his natural charisma appeared more planned, kind manner, more practiced at the time. These modifications were ascribed to the demands of celebrity and the pressures of keeping up a corporate empire. In hindsight, they were the first to be seen. Fractures in an exterior that was starting to collapse. He had changed as a person, no longer remembers a former worker who spent 6 years working at the pawn shop. There was constant strain, as if he was always keeping an eye on his. Bear the weight of Rick from the beginning of the program would talk to everyone and spend hours looking at fascinating objects that entered the store. But the new Rick, he was aloof and constantly on his phone with these whispered discussions, as when clients wanted to meet him, he would frequently refuse unless cameras were present. Nobody knew at the time that Rick Harrison was creating a false identity, one that took advantage of his notoriety and reputable posture to hide actions that his father could hardly have imagined. Fans, the FBI's investigation has shown Harrison was more than a pawn business proprietor of a television program. He was the genius behind a complex network of illegal businesses. When federal officers carried out their search warrant on early in April, they went to Harrison's mansion, found evidence that is much more unsettling, more than anyone could have predicted. Beneath his expansive Las Vegas property was an advanced directive center with full surveillance device with several encrypted hard disks, as well as a detention cell that revealed documents found to have evidence of recent use from the residents' specific shell businesses for foreign payments and encrypted messages that indicated an extensive criminal operation outside the boundaries of the United States. The agents who took part in the operation and detailed a scene that appeared more appropriate for more of a criminal than a TV personality in Harrison's basement. The mansion was transformed into what an operational hub was referred to by investigators, with several secure computer stations, walls, and communication devices covered in maps that indicate locations around the world. There were several passports with many names, but displaying a picture of Harrison that implies had traveled abroad under a variety of Perhaps the most terrifying identity was a locked chamber that seems to have been utilized to compel others against their willfully equipped with reinforced doors, although internal handles and proof that recent occupancy and the financial elements of Harrison's clandestine business their intricacy is astounding. Investigators have determined that at least 17 distinct limited liability businesses associated with Harrison, dispersed among 6 states and 3 foreign nations, numerous of these businesses seem to be in existence only on paper, registered at addresses that are non-existent and unstaffed or tangible goods, their objective waste transparent to hide the flow of funds and assets. In just 16 months, about $3.4 million was transferred via accounts connected to these shell businesses with ties to various industries, engaged in money laundering and human trafficking, laundering the subsequent transactions, characteristics that correspond to known criminal groups that make use of Harrison's valid commercial interests as a shield for illegal purposes. The pawn shop that America cherished wasn't merely being sold, it was antiques and collectibles, possibly a component of an advanced. What makes a money laundering operation? What makes this scenario special is the degree of complexity, explains the financial Sarah Layton, a crime specialist. We frequently witness criminal groups utilizing genuine companies as fronts, but seldom with this level of subtlety and infrequently with a partner so openly apparent at the center. Harrison made more than just a shell. He created a whole shadow with 1 or 2 companies, parallel financial system to his public commercial holdings. The degree of compartmentalization implies that someone who knew exactly how to conceal funds from the government, but the financial, perhaps crimes were only the beginning. The most unsettling finding was the evidence that connects Harrison to people FBI agents involved in trafficking operations, recovered hard disks that were encrypted, including spreadsheets and communication threads that described the cross-border migration of people. These weren't merely commercial exchanges, they were documents of human abuse, with Harrison seems to be playing a significant part in organizing these events. His network included infamous members of the criminal underworld. Eduardo Eluma Ramirez is one of the suspected human trafficking leader route that connects Nevada and Baja California. Records indicate that Harrison's fortune and celebrity served as the ideal pretext for these procedures that enable him to move between respectable business circles and criminal organizations with ease. These operations' victims are still there. However, they are mostly unknown. Investigators think a large number of vulnerable people from economically underprivileged areas that were assured genuine employment prospects in the United States. Records were seized, and they were coerced into sexual or labor exploitative practices. The FBI has created a specialized task committee to determine and help these individuals, many of whom may remain in hazardous circumstances throughout the nation's humanitarian component. The case has made the situation more urgent. Continuing inquiry with agents working nonstop to disassemble what's left of the global network. Harrison's network's reach is equally. The FBI has tracked down some surprising transactions, connected his operations to his sham firms. Bangkok, Tana, and Prague are establishing a network that extended across several continents. Every transaction was meticulously concealed, frequently going through multiple middlemen before to arriving at its ultimate, where the communications were retrieved coded from Harrison's device's language in channels that are encrypted, exhibiting a certain amount of sophistication that demonstrates years of meticulous preparation. Regarding performance, this wasn't a novice business venture or a company owner that made a few poor choices. This was a planned illegal activity with Harrison at the center. Focus on the global ties have made the investigation more difficult, requiring the law's cooperation. Law enforcement organizations from several nations that are near the research indicates that Harrison could have taken use of his fame to make ties with corrupt officials. In some areas go farther, supporting his illegal activities, his frequent travel abroad, supposedly for business or antique hunting. Recently, expansion is being re-examined in. Considering these discoveries, every journey perhaps serves as an additional connection in a series of illegal actions that went throughout the world, asking the question that remains a mystery to investigators, and the way someone is so visible to the public could have hid such actions for so lengthy that the solution is partially found in Harrison's meticulous development of his public perception as a TV personality. He exuded expertise, integrity, and a simple method of conducting business. He was portrayed on Pawn Stars as in someone who is knowledgeable about historical relics, who placed the highest priority on authenticity. This well-constructed character produced a shield of legitimacy that made accusations against him appear too incredibly. Who would think that an individual who went into millions of homes each week via their TV displays might be engaged in illegal activity? Of this size, this is the ideal example of concealing oneself in plain sight, observes Dr. Vanessa Chen Harrison. A criminologist developed such a powerful public image of integrity and knowledge that attacked it as a good disguise for his other pursuits, that humans are inherently unable to tolerate inconsistencies in their held convictions. If you know someone is truthful since you've seen them, you'll ignore years of television evidence that contradicts this. Harrison took advantage of this psychological propensity. Expertly, the consequences of these disclosures have been made instantly, and stretching the reach of the History Channel Pawn Stars was suspended indefinitely as the investigation continues. The gold and silver pawn shop, previously a booming tourist attraction, now confronts an unclear future. Supporters have expressed shock and disbelief using social media. Having trouble getting back together, they believed they knew Rick Harrison, with the individual at the heart of these accusations that go beyond the initial shock. There are more extensive consequences for the reality and the entertainment business, television. How many other public figures might be hiding similarly dark secrets behind carefully managed public personas as the legal process unfolds? Harrison faces severe charges including money laundering, human trafficking, and conspiracy if convicted. These charges might result in lengthy prison time. Federal authorities are keen to dismantle not just Harrison's personal functions, but the network as a whole. Apparently contributed to the construction and upkeep of this case, has rapidly attracted national attention. Focus with law professionals contributing on the possible results and the wider ramifications for comparable inquiries. For individuals who were employed over the years, working closely with Harrison, the disclosures have compelled an unpleasant reassessing their experiences. Former workers now reflect on his growing secrecy and modifications to conduct with fresh insight. Exchanges that appeared simply strange at the time now seem dubious in review. The non-disclosure agreements in the past that grew increasingly stringent over time. The private consultations and the slow retreat from elements of the public-facing business currently appear to be fragments of a riddle that was unknown till it was too late in certain instances that made no logic. Acknowledges a former member of the production team who worked on several seasons of Pawn Stars, such as when he would suddenly call off days of filming without justification, or when certain parts of the property abruptly turned into forbidden to the crew. We simply choked. It's up to the eccentricity of celebrities today. Wonder what was actually going on, who was arriving and going during those days. There were no cameras present. Research is still ongoing with new information that is frequently released by the GovAgents are still investigating the entire scope of the network that identifies Harrison, accomplishments, and deciphering the intricate network of financial exchanges that encourage these operations when at large. It's unclear what has previously been disclosed presents a troubling image of large-scale deception. The man who based his reputation on sincerity and transparency seems to have been alive. A life characterized by concealment and exploitation. As this narrative progresses, unfurl, it acts as a potent reminder that looks can be misleading in an age at which we are invited by media personalities into their businesses and lives. It's Rick Harrison. It's easy to feel like we know them. Invited the United States to his pawn shop, shared his expertise, and created a connection with millions of viewers. Trust was the foundation of that connection. Have faith that what we observed was reflected actuality of Harrison's accusations, destroy the confidence and compel us to doubt our ability to fully understand that we invite public people into our homes. There is more to this than one man or one television program that focuses on the masks, wheel, clothing, and the facades we put up. It concerns the disparity between public view and personal reality. The most crucially, it concerns the victims who somebody might have suffered while committing crimes. Network functioned under the protection of dignity and notoriety as we follow. Let's keep in mind that behind the people, behind dramatic headlines, are genuine, whose lives were irrevocably changed by these incidents. The truth is still coming to light. However, one thing is evident. Rick Harrison tale will be remembered as one of the most startling declines in popularity on TV history. Serves as a reminder that occasionally, the most harmful lies are the ones that take place in front of our eyes. The investigation is still ongoing, and with it our comprehension of how profound this for Rick Harrison. The game is dark, is over mirrors and the pawns. The repercussions are just getting started if this. What a tale tells us is that we must look past the meticulously chosen pictures that are shown to us and wonder what lurks beneath in a world that is becoming more curated and dominated by personal branding. The distinction between social media presences and performance and authenticity increased. Blur the next time you remember a public figure you believe you know. America believed in Rick Harrison, was unaware until the FBI showed up at his house and made the startling reality the most priceless items in his collection. Did he not have historical treasures? As seen on TV, they were the secrets he concealed from the public, and when those truths are revealed, if we may be so wrong, it's all up to us. Regarding a person we've been watching for years, what, otherwise, we might not be able to subscribe for ongoing coverage of this story, grows.